In this video, we cover the 10 most common questions people have about owning a tea business. My name is Fernando and I wrote the Holistic Business Handbook in 2015. It's free PDF download digitally at zenstea.com. I did this because my company, Zen's Tea House, works with holistic medical physicians. We provide herbal blends that they private label and drop ship to their customers, and I wanted them to succeed in business. If you want help with your business, feel free to email me, fernando@zenstea.com. Let's get started. How much does it cost to start a tea business? It can be very inexpensive. If you can build a website or even utilize social media, you can get a bank account, merchant processor, all that's very easy to get. You could use ChatGPT to search for all that. But practically speaking, you can start a business selling tea as little as $200 to $500. That doesn't mean it's going to be a very good business, nor a business that people trust and buy, because quite frankly, who wants to buy any product that they're going to put in their body if the person who's running it doesn't want to spend good money? That's typically what you'll see. Of course you do, but in the world of regulations and I tell people this: do you want to do it the right way, or the expensive way, or the fast way? And by the way, fast could be expensive and right as well. It depends on your philosophy. It depends on your tolerance. You can start selling tea that you grow. You can have a little herbal farm and you can pick it and you can sell it like people do with lemonade stands. That's a business. You can literally do that. The regulations, there are limits. Even with the organic certifications, if you sell in less than $1,000, you can use the USDA organic claim. It's all relative. The more you make, the more you spend, the higher it is. You'll get flagged, and when you get flagged, you'll typically want to get your license permit and get your stuff in order. I don't advise people to spend all the time, money, and energy to get their licenses correct. First, make $1,000 in sales. If you don't make $1,000 in sales, the IRS, the Franchise Tax Board, the licenses, they're really not going to bug you. Disclaimer, in theory they could, but I'm telling you, practically speaking, they're not going after little fish. They're going after big fish that are making millions. You source high quality tea leaves with high quality tea companies that specialize in high quality tea leaves. Not every tea company sells high quality tea. They do really good branding, but that doesn't mean that the quality's there. And it's really, you just test it. I get people email me from other countries all the time: try this butterfly pea tea, try this ingredient, and you'll get a good batch the first time, and then the second batch may not be nearly as good. So you really need to work with a trusted broker or importer. Zen's Tea House, we can work with you, and even if we don't have the tea, we can help you get there and find the higher quality. Disclaimer, most tea on the open market is not high quality. Most of it is lower quality, because in tea it's just volume. I suggest always starting online, get your brand out there. I met some people who built a physical brick and mortar without trying to do an online at the same time. Whatever you do, make sure you focus on one specifically. The worst is when you build out the cafe or the restaurant or even your mobile and you think that the online is going to come. You're going to do one well, and that's got to be your focus. Is it going to be online or in person? Personally, for me, it's been whoever we connect with, we do a really good job. So I don't think of it as just as an online business or as a cafe business, as a farmer's market, as a wholesale. No, it's a people business. And so wherever the people we're talking to, we make sure we go out of our way to make sure that they feel heard, understood, and supported, and they get the best quality attention and tea we can offer them. How to price tea for a profit? Well, I'm going to share with you some secrets. When it comes to retail, tea can be in the 60 to 7% net profit. When you're doing wholesale B2B, it's the 30% profit. You go in high volumes, you're like the 15% profit. This changes depending on the product or service or product offering. The higher quality teas, the less profit margins there are. This is particularly true with matcha. It's already very expensive to sell a $600 a pound matcha. It just isn't something that's going to sell, and you really got to base off of what kind of brand you have. So my suggestion, when you're profiting or when you're selling a product and you're pricing it, you price what you feel the customer is willing to pay for. I don't believe in a fair price. I believe in providing a deal. So you want to give them a good deal, and sometimes that's not necessarily a price, but the quality and care that you provide that product, that tea. The equipment you need to get started. This is a thermos. I get it from the company EcoVessel. I made my first $1 million using this product, this equipment. You don't need much. Work with what you got. You don't need the most expensive phones and cameras and lightings and mics to selling or start growing your business. I always suggest that whatever you have, work with that. Do not invest in heavy equipment, because there are many manufacturing tea companies, they have to charge a lot because their equipment costs a lot. So if you can keep your prices down, I would start out very minimal. That's my philosophy. Obviously you do need tea brewing equipment, a teapot, a tea kettle, filtered water to measure the tea, shipping, computer, a laptop, a phone, basic stuff that you would need just for a business. There's nothing particularly true for starting a tea business unless you are packaging and manufacturing, and that could get quite more expensive, and it's not something that I suggest you do from your home. You really want a facility, and that's the value of having a cafe, is now you can start literally selling to other companies and even making bids for big contracts. So depends on what kind of business you're going. How to create a unique tea brand in a crowded market. You gotta be you. There's only going to be one you, and if you try to be someone else, you will not be unique. There's so many brands out there, and I think a lot of them mean well, but they're afraid or insecure to be themselves. I'm a US Navy veteran turned tea entrepreneur. Always have the American flag. Genuinely just do videos and create content because I like helping people, and I think that works, and I think that puts a feel. I'm also super hippy dippy, like wearing sandals and shorts. I just had a good veggie burrito from Chipotle. I did drink tea with it. You got to be yourself, and you got to work with people, not necessarily who validate you, but people who accept you for who you are. And I'm not talking about like whole, like, you gotta accept and love everyone. Like, I don't like candy. I don't like soda. I don't drink beer. I hate junk food. And if you go in with that attitude, guess what? You're not gonna make an Earl Grey flavored cotton candy tea. You gotta be who you are. And by the way, there's tons of Earl Greys that are flavored with vanilla stuff. You wanna be unique. In a saturated market, you gotta be yourself. And you have to be comfortable with not being for everyone, which is contrary to mainstream current ideology. The idea of keeping fresh tea, man, there's a lot of tea companies that don't keep fresh tea. They like buy it and they sit on it for years, and you can typically tell. So you want to keep your tea fresh by selling it quickly. And you can do that through drop shipping. My suggestion is you build out the market first, build out the demand, and then sell it. This way you're not sitting on tea. And if you have a lot of tea, guess what? You give it away. And you start seeing that it's not going to be all that great, then you host a tea party, you give out samples, and let people try it. And then when they buy it, not only will it taste better because it's fresh, it'll taste better because they're now invested into it. The biggest mistake and the most common mistake that I see tea businesses make is they don't allocate their funds and their time well. Like most businesses, they don't make enough money or they spend too much money. That's largely because they're just not very serious. I think a lot of people see how easy it is to start a tea business that they don't ever stick with it long enough. And so they realize that, wow, I'm going into a super saturated market. Yes, it's a commodity that's been around since the Chinese Silk Road, but it's just this It's not easy. It's not easy. And I think that a lot of people make business mistakes and they quit. I think that's the biggest and most common mistake when it comes to tea. Second to that is that they really like tea, they just don't like the business side. That's probably just as common. How to market and sell tea effectively? That's $1 million question, or multi-million dollar question. You need to find your voice. You need to know your customer. You need to know who you are and who you're going after, and know the market. You gotta know a lot, and that's experience. And testing is expensive. So you really wanna work with someone, and I'll help you, but you really want to work with people who know how to navigate. And it doesn't have to be necessarily the same type of industry. It's actually, or the same type of like tea product. It has a diverse portfolio as far as the tea companies that we support and even our distribution outlets. To sell and market and grow your tea, it's really just need experience. Those are the 10 most common questions people have about starting a tea business. I'll give you a little insight about me. I started my tea business after I finished my 5 years in the United States Navy. I did 4 deployments, 3 to the Persian Gulf. I got to taste and see what the rest of the world drinks, natural botanical medicine, and I thought, why don't we have this here in Los Angeles? And you have all these people here, why is there no high quality loose leaf teas? So that's how I started the company, selling at farmers market. And I think our sixth year, we started our first cafe. That was in 2019, and then COVID happened, and we opened up our second cafe, and we've been kind of taking it at a time. Hope you found this video helpful. If you want more information about tea and business, go to Zen's YouTube playlist, Growing the Tea Industry.